Hey everyone, I'm Jill Berkowitz, the community manager here at Clerk Chat, and
Hey everyone, I'm Will. I'm our AI implementation specialist, and we're back for this week's AI news.
so yesterday, Will, as you know, was the Made by Google 2024. So of course, our theme this week is going to be Google, and there are four main topics we're going to chat about. The first being Keynote updates and a little bit about LMSYS. The second one, Gemini Live, is available as of yesterday via Google. Pixel Buds Pro 2, not the ones I have in now, are available for pre-order, and then the Pixel 9 Pro Fold phone. So let's start with this keynote. It started with Rick Osterloh, who's a senior vice president of devices and services. He mentioned, and I love this part, the biggest question people ask about AI is, what can AI do for me? I think that is such a great question. He really focused on Google's AI vision and strategy about the push for a mobile-first AI. But my really big takeaway is their goal to see AI through someone's entire Google-based tech stack. And something really interesting I picked up on during the intro, he had mentioned that Gemini 1.5 was number one on the LMSYS chatbot arena leaderboard. By the time I checked it out, it was technically ranked 2, just behind ChatGPT 4.0. Those who are listening in, if you're unfamiliar, I was until I visited the site. LMSYS is an open platform for training, serving, and evaluating large language models. But I'd really like to pause here because, William, knowing I had a really hard time understanding exactly what LMSYS is, could you try to help explain who would actually use it and why? Because I don't think I'm the ideal user for it.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing to me at the beginning too, but the way to think of it is essentially a leaderboard of all AI models that are out there. So, as you said, it's an open source platform, and individuals or often big companies like Meta, Google, OpenAI, they'll release models on there, and you can go see the leaderboard like you looked at. And it changes every day. It's essentially an open source platform where loads of people can test and evaluate these models. And actually, just a quick nugget on that, which might be interesting. OpenAI often release their latest model on there a few weeks before. So I remember you saw maybe like back in May, the GPT-2 anonymous chatbot. That was an early version of what's now ChatGPT 4.0. And on this, there's a new model that just got released this week called Anonymous Chatbot that everyone thinks is released by OpenAI. So there's kind of a buzz if this is like a precursor to another model being released by OpenAI.
Let me just clarify that for a second. There's a model that's called Anonymous Chatbot, but nobody knows who actually created it. There's just buzz around that they think it was OpenAI.
Yeah, because OpenAI did it with their last model. They released it before. And also Sam Altman posted on Twitter this thing about strawberries, which apparently is the project code name for this new model. So there's a bit of buzz, a bit of hype around that. Just a quick nugget about the LMSYS arena. Yeah.
I'm so glad I got to learn more about it because number one, I had never heard about it before. Number two, I went onto the website and I didn't even know where to look first.
And you can kind of chat with all the models at once. It's like you can select a model and then chat with it. So yeah, it's good. It's cool just for people like us, normal people.
That's so cool. So let's hop right into our second topic. Attention, Gemini Advanced subscribers. Gemini Live is available at Google. They're calling it a mobile conversational experience. And I had to stop there because the word conversational is definitely a buzzword, by the way. Here at Clerk Chat, we love it too, as one of our taglines is conversational messaging at scale. So I was happy to hear them say it at Google as well. Gemini Live basically gives the user a hands-free experience. It integrates with all the Google apps or tools you use. I think the calendar extension, once it's available, will probably be a popular use case. Unfortunately, I couldn't test it out as it's currently only available on Android phones and I run on iPhone, but it will eventually be available on iOS, which is obviously the iPhone's operating system. I would bet that you'd probably be able to come up with some amazing killer use cases. Where do you think that its hand-free integrated capabilities might truly shine for someone?
I think there's stages to it, but the one that instantly popped to my mind was I'm just thinking back to when you were a kid, right? And maybe you were in the car with your mom and you're hungry and she just pulls something out the car, the bag in your car, and you've got some food. Right? You didn't have to think about it, but your mom had it. Or you were running to school in the morning, you didn't know you needed a water bottle, but it was there on the table and you just grabbed it and left, right? Those sorts of things. That kind of thing, but AI related. So an example could be you're going shopping and you're just like, oh, I'm missing something. I just can't remember what it is. You ask Gemini, oh, you need some honey or paprika or
This
whatever it
happens
may
to me
be, right?
almost every time I'm at the supermarket, by the way. I'm like, I know
Same,
I forgot to put something on the list.
completely same, yeah. And so that's the direction I imagine it going. And obviously in stages, but I think that's a reality that could happen kind of soon. And actually, I'm interested, Jill, what do you think is a key thing that makes it not just a novelty, but something that's actually useful, you can talk to, something that people actually use daily?
It has the ability to synthesize everything that you have on your device. So if it has access to the weather, the calendar, your photos, maybe your notes, you can ask it a question about your day and it could just answer it for you without you having to go in and scroll through everything. Because sometimes just the act of, let me go check what time the appointment is. Let me see if I even have any availability in my calendar to schedule something. That takes up time. And the one thing that so many people always complain about, in my opinion, is that there's never enough hours in the day. So if Gemini Live can save us time, I think it could be a really valuable product.
And just make things more convenient. I guess that's another overarching thing.
The Pixel Buds Pro 2 from Google are now available for pre-order. They're advertised as being extremely comfortable, easy to use, seriously noise canceling. Those are all really important features, of course. It also uses AI-powered clear calling to reduce loud noises coming through from the other end of the line when you're on a phone call, but I don't think that's anything new. I think the unique angle is its ability to collaborate with Gemini, which really reminds me of Siri, right? I just kind of wonder what your opinion is, if you think the intention here is for Gemini Live to compete with Siri and the Pixel Buds to compete with the AirPods. But I guess the bigger, broader question is, how do Gemini Live and Siri truly differentiate from each other?
It is kind of a bit like you said, everyone using the complete Google tech stack, right? Like now your whole life is around Google. So in the same way that a lot of our lives are around Apple, we've got an iPhone, we've got AirPods, and we're using a Mac. The thing I gather right now is that Gemini Live is a true AI personal assistant, whereas Apple's version of that is going to be Apple Intelligence, which they mentioned like a month and a half ago at the Apple Developer Conference. So Siri is kind of like the old version, like Google Assistant version they currently have. Gemini Live is the kind of competing with Apple Intelligence. And I think we might talk about this a little bit more, but it's all about using your data that's personal to you, that's on your device, your habits, maybe your photos, your calendar, having access to this, your emails, and really being a personal assistant. Whereas Siri currently is a bit more ask it a question, tell it to do a task, but it can't string multiple things together.
So let's talk about Google's Pixel 9 Pro Fold, which was just announced, but if you want it, you actually have to either pre-order it or join the waitlist. This phone and the whole Pixel 9 line have the Gemini Assistant and supposedly some AI features that are only available on Pixel phones. Some examples like the weather app, call notes were added to the call assist feature. It's a private summary of the conversation. A new Pixel screenshots app, which actually looks so cool, analyzes the content of a screenshot and then makes it searchable. So an example was during the demo, they showed on somebody's phone, I guess they must have taken a bunch of screenshots of bikes because they were bike shopping. So they must have gone to a couple websites, screenshot the bike, or they were in a store, took a photo of the bike, and they weren't quite ready to purchase, but later on they were ready to purchase. So when they went into their new phone, they typed in bike, and all these screenshots of the bikes that they had found and taken screenshots of over time popped up. So it put their whole shopping experience condensed into just one page. And I thought that that was really, really neat. I saw how quickly it worked also, by the way. And during the keynote, they explained it's because of the Tensor G4, which was made for Gemini Nano with multimodality. Thinking about all of these, in theory, powerful AI features on smartphones, how can we feel confident that AI is used responsibly and transparently? So, for example, during the keynote, I heard several times they used the buzzwords like private or on-device. Why are these terms so important to consumers?
Firstly, the on-device and private stuff is that they're huge buzzwords like data privacy, huge buzzwords for basically every consumer. It's in our vocab now, something we maybe didn't think about 10 years ago, we suddenly all think about. Essentially, Google, they're trying to tap into something that's basically on everyone's mind, right? We're worried about how AI is going to use our data. Is it going to be kept private? What are they going to know? What is this new intelligence going to know about me? But the key thing with being on device is that it keeps all the AI processing on your phone. So whereas like the ChatGPT, when you send it a message, it takes your data, it sends it to the cloud where ChatGPT is, and then it sends it back to your device. With Google, you don't need to access AI in the cloud, it's all on your device. So there's no sending data, there's less risk of it getting, taken by hackers, or there's less moving parts basically, which makes it safer. Basically less exposure. And yeah, this gives the user more control over what happens with their data. That's a key point that differs the Google way of doing things from like OpenAI way of doing things. And for example, Apple Intelligence wanted to partner with OpenAI. This was a big chat, and that could have meant that they would have to send data back and forth, and the AI wasn't on device. So that might be something they scrap now that Google have done this. So
If we're
sorry.
talking about our personal devices, our personal cell phones, I don't think we want those items being sent to the cloud, probably.
I mean, we don't want them being sent to the cloud, but then I think at the same time, all my photos are stored in the cloud currently.
But also, when we choose that option, that's a self-selection. It's not Apple or Google sending it to the cloud automatically. We are activating that or choosing to save our data, whether it's messages or photos in the cloud.
And then you mentioned the Tensor G4 chip as well. What I gather is that at a high level, because we know AI requires so much intensive computing power, that's why NVIDIA, who make AI chips, their stock price has skyrocketed since the AI boom because we need these new chips. And the Tensor G4 is a new chip that basically allows AI processes to happen at the same time as us browsing the internet or writing notes or sending a text message. Whereas with maybe an older chip, it'd be super laggy.
Okay, I think that is all. We have covered all 4 topics. We talked about Made by Google, a little bit about LMSYS. Gemini Live obviously is now available, and then 2 Google products that are available for pre-order, the Pixel Buds and the Pixel 9 Pro Fold.
Cool, thanks, Joe. Have a nice week.
Talk soon.